So now I'd like to tell you about the Torchbearer Award. This award is the Better Business Bureau's most prestigious honor. It is presented to an individual civic or business leader in our community who's made significant efforts with measurable results to promote ethical business practices and assist the BBB in spreading the concept of business self-regulation. As C.S. Lewis said, integrity is doing the right thing when no one is watching. A great example of doing the right thing consistently is this year's recipient of the Torchbearer Award, Robert Marcocchio, Principal of Assurance Agency Limited. Rob, will you please join me at the podium? For more than 34 years, Rob Marcocchio has worked at Assurance, and during that time, he's been part of the management team and board of directors that has grown the insurance brokerage into a $100 million operation and a company that has received many Best Places to Work awards. Rob sits on several boards, including the Assurance Board of Directors for 15 years, the Italian Chamber of Commerce, and the Board of Directors for the Better Business Bureau. Congratulations, Rob. It is my honor to present you with the Torchbearer Award.
Where am I here? What's this one here? Yep. Thank you very much. First of all, Roy, that old age thing, that was me. It was not a part of my speech to mention Rob Stafford and his struggles with his disease in the Mayo Clinic. But Rob, you struck home because I'm a little over 5 years partnering with the Mayo Clinic to get to this day. And so I know all about it, so my thoughts are with you, buddy. Sitting beside Father Simpson, he asked me a question, tell me a little bit about yourself. And I looked over this room and I saw the lights. And I said to myself, January the 8th, 1974, I arrived in this country with a one-year visa in one hand and about $1,200 in the other hand. And tonight I looked over the lights and all these people, and the dais is filled with the most spectacular people here. And I got to pinch myself. I'm just hoping that my mom and dad are up there looking down and seeing when they put me on the plane and asked me where I was going. This is where I am. When you arrived here tonight, you looked at your program and you looked down and you said, Rob Marcocchio is receiving the Torch Awards. Who is he? We know some of the previous honors of this award. Leo Burnett, Billy's father, Rob App, Attorney General Jim Ryan, W. Clement Stone, Jim Thompson, just to name a few. I'd like to go down memory lane with you and take you back to my dad in a little town of 800 people in northern Italy, born in his house. And at 16 years old, his mom and dad both passed away, and he decided to follow his brother to Canada and arrived in Quebec City and took a train across the province of Ontario to Windsor and became a laborer and worked 3 years to become a bricklayer so he could develop a trade in Canada. With no work during the Depression, he took a freight train and went across into Toronto, where they were building a new building, and Carl's going to love this. It was Maple Leaf Gardens, and he worked 3 years in Maple Leaf Gardens and took a trade. Developing a trade, he became a builder and a good builder. And when I was a young boy and an Italian father, he would drag me to the jobs. and he'd make me collect pop bottles and do whatever I had to do. Father wasn't much for talking. He was a field guy, but he taught me respect and discipline. He taught me how to work hard, start early and go late. But he had enough money to send me off to the Christian Brothers to be taught in school. School and me didn't go together. In Canada, high school is 5 years, and I liked it so much I stayed there 7 years. I stood bottom in my class, but I was the president of the ecumenical council, I was president of the varsity teams, and I spoke to the student body when I graduated. I graduated with 2 degrees, one in people skills and the other in street smarts. I immediately went into construction because that's what my dad wanted me to do, batching ready-mix trucks at dawn and into the late evening. After 2 years, I didn't like being a contractor, and much to his dismay, I wanted to be a salesman. So off I went to sell nights, pots and pans, Bibles, door-to-door sales. I ran into a fellow that said, "You'd be good at my business, come on in," and I went with him, and I started to sell Quonset huts to farmers. And I took the Northern Territory, where I would travel 2 weeks at a time, put about 50,000 miles on. And my first big break came in 1973, when they came to me and they opened a plant in Watertown, South Dakota. And they said, "We want you to go to the States and teach some Americans how to sell these buildings." So I got 3 one-year visas, and off I came. I chose Chicago because it seemed like a fun spot to go to. First 6 months was tough to understand the culture and what was going on. But finally, I got the niche to it and rolled along. But in 1982, the government came in and shut them down on the RICO Act for some offshore steel stuff. Well, with nothing going on in my life and being in a horse business, I ran into a gentleman called Jim Blackburn who had a small agency called Assurance Agency in Arlington Heights. In 1984, I went to work with him for 3 months. He said, "See if you like this business." I said, "I'm not much for passing exams." He said, "Don't worry about the exams, just bring in the customers." About 10 years went by, and I became somewhat successful bringing in some nice size accounts. The company was in so much of a disarray and a little confusion and didn't have direction. And me and 2 other of the top producers got together when people were leaving and said, "Let's band together and let's try and keep this thing afloat. Let's get the train back on the tracks." One of the 2 people one of those 3 is here tonight, Perry Bump, who's now retired, and I just wanted to acknowledge that he was here with his wife, Julie, and he was one of the ones that were loyal and stayed on. A few years later, we formed a couple more partners. A couple more gentlemen wanted to join on, and we got a team of about 6. In 1996, we put a partnership together, and each one of us took a niche and a team and try to keep it until we can get such time where we can put an executive board together. During that period of time, we got very lucky and found a gentleman by the name of Tony Cimino, a West Side boy that went to school, night school to be a lawyer and night school to bachelor of business. And we identified him, and he had a vision similar to this gentleman right here, how to develop a company, but he put an executive team, and he retired all our partners from being their roles and just being on the board. It was nice that they said, the one team that I had, I started with 1 part-time employee. I took the benefit team. Today, the benefit team does about $36 million in commission revenues and has 110 employees. And we do $115 million, 500 employees, opened our 4th office in Washington. And they've got 7 more offices they plan to open up before 2025. I want to draw attention to some of the people that honored me tonight by coming out that are still with the company and are very, very active and hold a tremendous role. John Manabach's here. Doug Nelson is here, both on the board. Ed Zirk, David Sukumsky, our CFO, John Wayhart, and a team leader, Rich Cordova runs the financial end. This takes me to the BBB. A good client of mine, host Mark, who you met, and Chuck Asner is a partner over there. One day he came to me and he said, "Hey, Rob, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to come on the board. I want you to bring some of your talents, and I want you to see if you can spread them around and do some good for us. They're a good bunch of people. The leader's a great leader, and I think there's a fit." First couple of years was a little bit of a struggle for me because I had some uphill battles. But the bigger struggle came about the fourth year when I was diagnosed with a terrible disease, and I went into a year fight. After about 9 months, a meeting came up, and I said, "I got to go and see Steve and tell him the truth that this might not be a fit because I don't know where my future is." So after the meeting, I grabbed Steve aside and I said, "Steve," I said, "I'm going to take myself off the board, and I don't want to hold up a spot for someone else that can do some good. I can't bring value right now. I got to go home." He turned to me in about 4 seconds and he says, "As long as you're alive, Rob," and he calls me Coco, "as long as you're alive, Coco, you're staying on this board." 3 months later, 3 months later, I got that notice of a meeting, and as sick as I was and feeding to it all, I said, "I'm going to go," and it was at Discover Card. And he called me the day before, and he said, "I see you're coming." I said, "Yeah, I'm getting back on board." He said, "I want you to meet a young fella you'll be really excited about, special young kid." So I went there, couldn't eat at that time. A young boy came over to me, and he said, "I'm Frank, would you sit and talk to me for a while after the meeting?" I said, "Yes." After the meeting, he came over, introduced himself again, and said to me, "I left the Tribune Company, and my boss said that I needed a mentor. And they've moved on, and Steve thinks that you would be a good mentor for me." I spent 5 minutes with this young boy, and so many people that I brought on board at the insurance agency and so many that I mentored, I saw a superstar in the making. I saw a boy with energy. I saw a boy with a sparkle in his eye. I saw an intensity. It rejuvenated me. It brought me back to the BBB and wanted me to make a difference. So as soon as I got a little stronger, we started to meet. And we met a number of times. And Steve came along. We identified things that we thought could be improved. We brought in webinars, seminars. We were meet and greets. I went to John Trapp, and I said, "John, I want you to come in and look at all the programs that Better Business have for the insurance needs and their commercial needs." He came in and did some magnificent job, and now he's working with Steve on maybe putting a national program together. I brought in Chris Renninger, who I recruited and trained and mentored for years and is a top producer now at Assurance Agency, and I'm so proud of him. He came in and handled all the benefits, and he's done an outstanding job working with Dave. So I get a letter, and I believe that when I got this letter in December, and I was blown away that where I'd come from, that I'd be standing here tonight. Didn't think I deserved, because everything I do in life, I do it for the best interest of others, not for myself. That's the way I treat going to work, and I still go every day, and I'm 74. So this was going to be an unbelievable night, so I planned. On going to the Christmas party. It was 2 weeks later. And it was like a big ego thing that I was going to take a victory lap at the Christmas party and have everyone come up and congratulate me. Wow. Naturally, when I showed up, the very first person I saw who was there to greet you is the man. And he was there with his faithful staff, and he has some employees there. Unbelievable. Fran has been with him for 30 years, a receptionist, and Kathy Storm. I moved my way back to Dave, and Dave thanked me for all the good we were doing with the insurance stuff. I went back, and Frank was a bartender back there. With the energy he had, he was trying to take care of everyone that was there. Introduced me to Nellie and Samantha, his capable people. Went down to I called the sales office and talked to Jeff down there. What a great job that young boy has and what a team he's put together. talked to Lori at operations, spent some time with Dennis. Went to Steve's office, and I looked at it. What a great office. If you've never been there, he's got a great office. But on the wall, there's an article. And I know that if I show this article to you tonight, he's going to get mad at me, and I might not find it. But the article says, passion, discipline, and it's a great article about him. So I don't have to tell you about him. Everyone's told you about him. I left here thinking, wow, he's built a machine. He's improved every single area. He's made this board of directors look good. The numbers he said on the 9,300 unaccredited, I can't tell you when I started where they were. The retention is huge. He's in the 80% retention. When we weren't bringing value, he is bringing value today. It is, old used word, it is the A-team. You have built a team and a machine that's second to none, and the results show for it, Guy, and your team does it with you, baby. I wouldn't be talking all about this unless there's a couple other things, because I know the work isn't done. Today, with the Better Business Bureau, less than 50% of people probably that are accredited don't have handbooks. Maybe 40% aren't working with HR people. I believe it's a better business job of ethics and business relationship to start getting more involved with the needy of those people that can't afford or don't know about that. The buzzword today in our society, unfortunately, is sexual harassment in the workplace. And I know that we're working on some stuff. We must be more aware. Some of the worst problems are out there, and unless we educate, we're not going to correct this ongoing problem. Defense costs are crippling and will hurt. You don't get here unless you have a whole bunch of support, and I want to mention a couple people. The Galdoni family, Pete and Marilyn, took me under their wing, and I remember the first Thanksgiving that I got to say. The first 2 years I never had a Thanksgiving here because I didn't know anybody. And I went there in 1977, and I'll remember that, and now it's an important holiday to me, and it's not an important holiday in Canada. My daughter, Kara, and her husband, Dave, have given me 2 children, grandchildren. And it might sound okay, but when they send you in some of those cylinders that you have to go in, you have to concentrate on something other that makes you feel really important and want to live. And I see pictures of my 2 grandkids. The most important person in my life that helped me get up here is my partner in life, Lynn. You know, with salesmen go out and they're out late at night and they're on dinners and they have to go on seminars and they go on trips. And they have to entertain, they have to do this. If you don't have a partner that understands that, if you don't have a partner that agrees with that, there are partners that works with that, I wouldn't be here today. Never once did she ever interfere with my life and where I wanted to take it. Lynn, I can't thank you enough. I do funny things, and this fall at one of the meetings, I put my foot in my mouth again, and when the golf outing was brought up, not knowing where I was going to be July 16th this coming year, I raised my hand to be the chairperson. But anytime I take a task, I take it to heart, and I make it work. I'd like to thank Steve Johnson and his team who helped me put this together. And by the way, Carly and Brianna did an outstanding job here, and you should be complimented. But he put this card together for me as I wanted. And I'm asking everybody here at the table, and I'm asking, it's going to be a great day, and the weather's going to be good. I asked Father Simpson, and he guaranteed me that. I don't do anything. Am I allowed to say half-assed, brother? I don't do anything half-assed. But I want to make a special reason. It's not just a day of golf, and it's not going to be a great meal. It's going to be about scholarships. I want to do scholarships for some kids that need some education. And there's going to be $5,000 scholarships, and I got a goal of at least $15,000 or $25,000. I want you to take this card, and I want you to see where you might be able to bring a foursome. Come yourself. And if you don't golf, come to dinner. If you come to dinner, bring with someone. Every one of your business people have tickets, trips, something that you can give to help make it the most successful golf outing we've ever had. So I would like you just to take a quick look at this card and hand it back to anybody you know at the BBB, me or Steve or Tom or anyone. I am coming to a close. I got a couple of last things to say. You know, when you're in the business world, you idolize people in business. People I idolize today are people like Roy Spencer and Dave Musial. I listen to their ads with their passion, morning, noon, and night, trying to do good for people out there. I think of Steve Burness when I'm on a treadmill, and every day I'm on a treadmill, he's at a different station, he's doing a different speech, and he's there promoting ethics in the community. There's nobody like him. And the last guy, my idol, is Tony Sciamino, who is now the spiritual leader who took Assurance Agency to where it is today. Now to Dan Hampton. They've kind of forgot you there, but I didn't forget you. Bobby Orr was the best hockey player I ever saw. Roberto Clemente was the best baseball player. The guy you played with was the greatest football player to ever live, Walter Payton. I have a basement full of Walter pictures and signed autographed. He was the best. But you know what you didn't know, Dan? We have a lot in common, you and I. It's not looks and it's not weight, because I kind of shrunk down. You attack the quarterback like every time on every down, like it was the last play of the game. I go after prospects and leads like it's the last lead I'm ever going to get. You were the strongest person in the locker room. You motivated, you generated, and you got your point across. I do the exact same in boardrooms. I don't let anybody push me around, and I let my points known. You take those rookies under your wing, and they come in. And you do it for two reasons. Then you do it, number one, you want to make them better people. Number two, you want to help the team. And that's what you did. You made other people better, not only yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Myself, I wanted to hire and mentor people, and I wanted to stay with them, and I wanted to make them successful. And there's a bunch of them in this room tonight that I'm proud of. I can't tell you how many operations you had, and you played through them. You played in pain, and you went through it. In the last 5 years, I've been over 100 treatments in chemo and over 60 treatments of radiation, and I fight through it, and I go to work every single day. In 2002, you got the ultimate prize. You got voted into the Hall of Fame, and that was any football player's dream. Today, I got voted into the Business Hall of Fame, which is the epitome of a 74-year-old, is the pinnacle of a 74-year-old man, and I'm now in the Hall of Fame. So we're now equal. I'm finished, but I just want to leave you with one note. And this note shouldn't be about health, but it's a personal thing. And there's a person in this room that hasn't been touched or won't be touched with the ugly disease of cancer. The greatest speech that I ever heard given by a sports person was by Jim Valvano when he spoke at the ESPYs at ESPN. 3 weeks before he died. And you've heard the speech, and I'm only going to leave you with the parting words. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. Thank you very much for that.